Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take a basic look at reflection probes. These have just been added to NEAS, so this information may be out of date in a couple of weeks. If it is, I'll update the video, but right now I'll give you a good idea on how to start making them, how to start using them, and what they are. Let's get going by starting at about what they even are. So reflection probes are a system within NEAS that allows you to specify what the reflective properties of a material such as glass or metal look like. Without this feature, your glass or metal objects will actually just look like the skybox. To illustrate this, I have a ball spawned from my inventory. You can find this in my public folder. It's under utilities and it's just called Shiny Ball. This is a PBS metallic material with a smoothness value clamped all the way up, so it's the most reflective thing you've ever seen. And it shows the reflection data, which currently, as we don't have any reflection probes, is just the skybox. And that might be okay for the balcony that we're out here on. By the way, we're in the desert meeting space map. But if I take this reflective ball inside, you'll see that it still reflects the outside map. That doesn't really make sense. We're inside now. If it's reflective, it should be showing the walls of the room. So let's set this up using reflection probes. To do that, I'm going to take my ball back outside, and I'm going to come to the center of the world here and equip a developer tooltip. If you don't have one, go to the essential tools, it's in there. With the developer tooltip equipped, we're going to go to create new, empty object. Once empty object's created, we're going to go to attach component, rendering, reflection probe. With reflection probe added, you'll see that my ball has immediately turned into this gray color, and that's because the reflection probe starts in baked mode. Reflection probes have two different modes. They are baked and real-time. Real-time will continually calculate the reflection of the reflection probe, which does have a performance hit, so please reserve real-time reflection probes for areas that need it. This map, for example, does not need it, but other maps which have a very specific visual style or visual requirement might need it. It's up to you, just remember that there is a performance hit with real-time reflection probes. To illustrate this, I'm going to go ahead and change this reflection probe to real-time. And now you'll see that we're getting what looks almost like a mirror. It's not quite a mirror, and that's because it's using reflections from the point which was created in the world here. So if I get closer to this point, you'll actually see it turns more into a mirror, and that's because it's showing reflection data from this point. If I move further away from it, you'll see that you can see me in the reflection looking at my ball, looking at the reflections. It's like an infinite mirror going backwards and forwards. That shows the reflection probe working. I also now want to talk about the reflection probe size. You'll see that there's a property here on the reflection probe called box size, and it's currently 10 by 10 by 10. That's also rendered by the bounding box from the inspector gizmo that's showing the size of the reflection probe. If I take my reflective ball outside of the bounds of this probe, you can see it here by this line that we're approaching. It will slowly transition back into the reflective data of the skybox, which in this case is our mountainous terrain. If I bring the ball back in, you'll see it transitions back to that real-time reflection probe. With that being shown, you can now start seeing how you can have multiple reflection probes within a map. This is useful for cases like this, where you've got an inside or an outside, or cases where you've got sort of multiple rooms and they have different terrain. Let's say you've got a nightclub and you've got a blue room and a green room. You don't want the reflections in the blue room to be green. So you might make multiple reflection probes, one in the blue room and one in the green room. To illustrate this, let's go ahead and make two reflection probes, one for the inside and one for the outside. But I'm actually going to start by teaching how to bake them, such that we can have more optimal reflection probes for this map. So here on the reflection probe, you'll see that we can change it to baked again. And now it's waiting for us to bake the reflection data. To do this, we need to push this button called Bake Reflections that's at the bottom of the inspector panel. But before you do that, it's very important to get anything out of the way that you don't want reflected in the baked reflection probe. That includes this ball, and it includes the inspector here. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into NoClip and hide behind a wall. Maybe you can hide outside the map or something when you're doing this. I'm also going to clear my inspector gizmos just in case those show up. And now I'm going to hit Bake. That'll bake it, and now we can return. This is almost like taking an X-ray at a hospital. Now I can go under the map here, grab my ball and return it to the top here, and you'll see that we've got those reflection probes. You can check that this is baked because I'm not shown in it no matter where I am in the world. If I take it out of the bounds, you'll see that we transition back to the skybox. Let's now make that second baked reflection probe for the interior of the map. So I'm going to go stand on this table here, and I'm going to go to create new empty object. I'm going to attach component and go to Rendering, reflection probe, make sure it's set to baked, deselect all, hop into no clip, hop beneath the map here, and hit bake. Now that's baked. I'm going to go ahead and close this inspector. We'll go back outside, and now we should be able to transition between our reflection probes with this shiny ball here. So we're seeing the outside, cool. Let's go in the inside. There will be a transition period because I didn't change the size of the reflection probe previously. And then we go in the inside and we'll see the reflections of the room on the inside. We even get a little bit of the outside there because the doors are open here. That shows some basic reflection probe usage. In a map where you've got a load, you might want to use a little editor widget that's been created that will help you bake multiple reflection probes at the same time. To do that again, I'm going to hop into NoClip and take my ball outside, and then I'm going to go ahead and create that widget. You can find this widget in the Create New menu. Go to Create New, Editor, and then go to Reflection Probes here. And what this will do is it will allow you to bake all of the reflection probes that are in the map. You can filter it down to a process route, which is a hierarchy it should search down below from. And you can also filter that to reflection probes that have a tag on them. I talk about tags in my tag video. This is another example of where tags should be used. You can tag reflection probes with, I don't know, inside, outside, or whatever you want to do when you take a look at them. You can also show and hide debug visuals. This isn't something I covered because I don't particularly like the way that they render, but you can, if you hit show debug visuals, you'll see that it's going to show a 360 view of what the reflection probe looks like in the world. You can also toggle this on the individual reflection probe object. Is here, and you'll see it here as show debug visuals. If you toggle, that's the outside one, let's do the inside one. If you toggle that on and off, you'll see that that ball disappears. That is a temporary ball. It's just a debug visual to show you what the reflection probe looks like. I prefer using my ball, as you can transit that between various reflection probes to see the values. Let's go back to that widget. There's a checkbox option here that says teleport me to each probe. I'm not entirely sure why you want to do that. Actually, no, I remember. It's if you have any culling. So if you've got culling in the map, I'll link in the video description my culling video, then you'll need to be at the reflection probe for it to be baked with the appropriate culling values included. So it's no good baking a reflection probe if that part of the map is deloaded because it's cold. That isn't the case for this map, so I'm just going to go ahead and deselect all, hit bake, and it's going to bake both. And done. Both are now baked and I can go back inside. Baking reflection probe should not include users, but sometimes it does. There is a bug open on that. I'll put it in the video description. Like I said, these are brand new and we're still learning how to use them, so there may be some tweaks and enhancements to them later. That's why I didn't use the teleport me to each probe option here. If they did have culling, I would figure it out. I would hide under the map or something. That should be it for reflection probes. I did want to showcase something which I've made, which helped me make reflection probes from a version of this map, which I have saved. Oh, let me turn off these visuals. You can find this in my public folder under Tools, and it's just called Reflection Probe widget. Reflection Probe widget is quite useful. At least I think it is. It's a regular cube, but it's set up so that its bounds match the box size of the reflection probe. So I can go ahead and chuck a box here. And then I can use the pre-created box gizmo to expand it to be a box size that I want. So say I wanted this balcony, I can go ahead and make it the balcony here. I can make it the whole balcony here. And it's always good, by the way, if you're using balconies in particular, give a little bit of a freedom room, just in case they sort of jump on the balcony or jump off the balcony. It'll be good for the reflection probe to still apply. That's why there's an overhang there. I don't know if I can actually get that one because it's inside the wall, but there we go. I'm also going to expand this just a little bit inside the wall. You can move this inspector. This is just the inspector for the reflection probe out the way. I recommend doing that so it's not included in the baking as well. That will give you access to the center dot here where you can increase the size. And it looks like we missed the edge of the balcony here, so I'll just do that. And then recommend clearing this box. As this is just a rough gadget, like I said, I just made it. Go ahead and select the box with your inspector and your developer tooltip, and then hit deselect all. Come across here and go ahead and hit bake. It will bake them, and then you can even go ahead and hit delete widget here, and it'll get rid of that box that was there that was showing its existence. And then if we go ahead and grab the reflective ball, where did I put it? I'll put it over here. And we take it outside, we should see that reflection probe there. Quite sure why we've got an inspector there. Must be an old probe. Anyway, that's a brand new gadget that like I said, I made it 5 minutes before I made this video because I was frustrated with the way that I was having to resize it manually. It's possible that that UI that I just showed might become part of the engine at some point to make things easier, but right now you can find that in my tools folder if it's useful for you. It's called Reflection Probe Widget. With that, I think that's all on reflection probes. There's a bunch of properties on the reflection probe component that I didn't go over. If you're interested in what those mean, or you know what those mean, drop a question or a comment about them in the comment section, and I'll take a look and maybe pin it. I'll see you next time. I hope that helped. Bye-bye.